most of the growth in media in the advertising space has gone to two companies. In Gujarat, to a large extent because of the pragmatism of the Muslims of that state. Problem I have with the BJP is that it raises the temperature of the water so that these frictions bubble up to the surface. In Manipur, that has not been the case, and I think to a large extent the government is responsible for not making sure that normalcy has come back. But overall, I think my own experience of more than 3 decades in journalism is that today we are in a worse position than we were 30 years ago.
നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്ന് സഭാ ടി വിയുടെ പ്രേക്ഷകർക്ക് മുന്നിലേക്ക് എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത് ഇന്ത്യയൊട്ടാകെ അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന പ്രശസ്ത ജേർണലിസ്റ്റും ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റും സർവോപരി എഴുത്തുകാരനുമായ ശ്രീ ആക്കാർ പട്ടേലാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം മേൽപ്പറഞ്ഞതിനെല്ലാം ഉപരി ആംനസ്റ്റി ഇൻ്റർനാഷണലിൻ്റെ ചെയറും കൂടിയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ നമുക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യാം. നമസ്കാരം സാർ. വെൽക്കം യു ടു ദ സഭാ ടി വി.
Thank you very much.
So, you wrote 2 books, which is Hindu Rashtra. Not 2, you have wrote so many, but the major 2, which bring so many controversies and turbulences after that. Hindu Rashtra and the price of Modi years. So let's talk about the price of Modi years. After writing that particular book, and their administrative regime tried to make you pay for writing that book.
True.
Yes, I have read about it. So, can you just elaborate on that? Start with that.
To be fair to Modi, I think the persecution of activists is not because of the books they write, because the BJP doesn't read books. They read Instagram posts. Books they don't read. So I think the problem that I have faced, and many others like me have faced, is because of the activism that the government, the BJP and Modi in particular, do not want that people speak about, write about, or act against the sort of things that they're doing.
Give the example of Gauri Lankesh, Pansare, Kalburgi.
Absolutely. The BJP would say that we have no hand in this. But generally speaking, the ideology and the language of the BJP carries forward into actions such as those that led to the murders that you spoke of.
So, I have read about you when I am preparing for the interview. When the Gujarat riot happens, you were there and reported as a co-author, all the things. Then eventually, when the Manipur riot happens, you were there and you investigated all of that and you wrote about it also. Is there any distinguishing factor or any relatability for those incidents?
I think that on the subcontinent, there is always an issue of simmering tension between communities. These communities could be dominant caste, lowered caste, it could be sort of religion, Hindu, Muslim, it could be Hindu, Sikh. Some of that tension remains below the water. The problem I have with the BJP is that it raises the temperature of the water so that these frictions bubble up to the surface and where they remain. And they have remained in this country for a long time after 1992. The specific, I think, Manipur versus Gujarat difference would be twofold. One is that in Gujarat, to a large extent because of the pragmatism of the Muslims of that state, they made an attempt to move forward from whatever had happened to them. In Manipur, what is the current state, and I don't know if your viewers know or do not know about this, the state has been partitioned basically. So there are 2 large communities, the Meitei and the Kuki, and in one part of the state, the Kuki cannot enter, even if that Kuki is a police officer, an IPS officer, an IAS officer or a judge. Similar is the case on the other side, that the Meitei cannot enter, whether they are of whatever government authority with however much power, they don't have the capacity to be able to. I don't think after more than 2 years of having seen this should have been allowed to be the case. The Prime Minister should have gone there very early on and tried to pacify the violence. He did not do that. He did not go at all for more than a year. So the main difference, I think, that in Gujarat, to some extent, people have moved on or tried to move on. In Manipur, that has not been the case, and I think to a large extent, the government is responsible for not making sure that normalcy has come back.
Okay. So, in your profile, you have worked in so many journalist organizations, newspapers, and all other related works. So, what changes happened in the journalist or journalism sector?
So there are three broad changes. Two of them are unrelated to the government. The first is the decline of newspapers, that globally for the last 30-40 years, newspaper circulations have been falling. In India, this began relatively recently, but it has accelerated after COVID. The newspaper industry itself has not put out circulation figures for the last 6 or 7 years. The newspaper being in decline has a very specific implication on readers and on democracy, because newspapers, when I worked for a Gujarati newspaper about 20 years ago, we had 300 reporters in Gujarat. News channels do not have that resource. So we had reporters who were looking at government hospitals, government schools, is the post office running on time? They had these beats. Are the hospitals functioning properly? TV channels don't do that because they don't have the resource. B, it's a linear medium. It will come and go and you don't have reportage. You can't go into the court. Whereas newspapers have people who go to the magistrates court, to the sessions court. You know what is going on. So that is one problem. So we are, as people of this country, we are less informed of what is happening now because of the decline of newspapers. You might not necessarily feel this in Kerala because of the dominance of these two papers, Mathrubhumi and Manorama. But in the rest of the country, it is felt. Many papers have shut down. The second secular change that has come about is that the most of the growth in media in the advertising space has gone to two companies, Google and Facebook, in the last 15 years. It has not come to the Indian media companies. They don't have the resources anymore. They have actually shrunk. And because of that, they are not able to deploy as many reporters and as many editors. Is that we are now seeing the connection of the largest corporates in India with the media. It is not the case that there were no corporates in media 30 years ago. There were. Bennett Coleman and Company is a corporate company. But to a large extent, they did not have activities outside of media. They were corporates that functioned in the media space. With the Adani and the Ambani buyouts, if you look at, say, NDTV, which is owned by Gautam Adani, NDTV's top line revenue of about 400-500 crores is not even 1% of the total Adani empire. For them, it is not a primary business. It is a business to help the other businesses. That is dangerous, I think. In the US, there are certain laws that prevent certain elements of the monopolization of media. I don't know whether we have as effective a law here. But overall, I think my own experience of more than 3 decades in journalism is that today we are in a worse position than we were 30 years ago.
As a writer and also an activist, you have faced so many turbulences in all of your life. The lookout notice, I read about it, and the CBI cases filed against you. Then at the time of your travel to US, they have restrained you from getting into the plane and going to there, and you have fought against them legally. Several cases are against you. So, as an activist and a writer, are you happy?
Yes, I love this country. I love its people. And I think that as an activist, somebody who is my age, who has already benefited from a large part of being born into the upper class, into a caste which is privileged, I should use that to see what it is that I can do. I don't think I do enough, but I don't mind doing what I do because it is the kind of life and the kind of work I want to do.
Okay. Is there any igniting fire or igniting incident that you became an activist?
I think that I was quite majoritarian in my outlook because you are raised like that in India, that you don't have the agency or the independence of thought to be able to, particularly if you come from the lesser educated communities like I came from, you don't have the ability to think on your own. I went through 92 not necessarily with a great deal of sympathy for what had happened to Muslims. But I think 2002, when I was part of the Editors Guild team that looked at the violence in that state, that changed me quite profoundly in a way that has remained with me all these years later.
How many periods will India go like this? Is there any end for the suffering of the minorities, not only minorities, for the whole society? As a writer, not poetically, but
as
Can
a
you say-
writer, I have to be honest with myself and with my reader and say that I don't think it is going to end soon. And the reason for that is that India is rewarding what the BJP is doing by bringing it back to power. The BJP's vote share was in single digits till 1989 nationally. It did not have a single state of its own till 1991. In 1991, its vote share doubled for the first time to about 20% nationally. And after Modi's come, it has doubled one more time to about 38%. So we are rewarding what they are doing. What is it that they are doing? They are persecuting minorities through law specifically. If you look at the lynchings that we have seen, they came after 2015. Why did they come after 2015? Before 2015, there was no category of beef lynching. Because Maharashtra and Haryana, which were then run by the BJP, which they still are, passed laws that criminalized the possession of beef, and the lynchings began. In 2018, starting with the state of Uttarakhand, the BJP passed laws that basically ban, that criminalize interfaith marriages between Hindus and Muslims. And all this love jihad nonsense that we are seeing has spread to 7 states. Karnataka also passed that law. 2 years ago, the BJP lost in Karnataka and the Congress took power. The law is still there. It becomes difficult once you communalize a polity to decommunalize it easily, which is why as a writer, I think that it is not going to be that easy for this country to come out of it.
Okay, so we don't have much time as you have so many obligations to make, so many duties to complete. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
And for your conversation and insights.
Thank you, Imtiaz. Thank you.
Thank you.